stop everything. It's January 2019. Tokyo, Japan. Police are running toward a metal door near Hinode Station. They're not looking for a bomb. They're not investigating a murder. They're protecting a drawing, a rat, just a rat with an umbrella. In any other city on earth, this would be vandalism. They'd paint over it in 5 minutes. But here, the governor of Tokyo goes on television. Experts put on white gloves. They treat this dirty piece of metal like it's the crown jewels. Why? This week, the world thinks it finally has the answer. They think they unmasked the ghost. But they're looking at the wrong mystery. Everyone thinks Banksy, the most famous secret artist in the world, went to Tokyo to leave his mark. They are wrong. Banksy didn't go to Tokyo to paint. He went to visit a grave. He went to say thank you. This isn't the story of a modern graffiti artist. This is the story of two identical men, separated by 230 years. Two men who lived double lives. Two men who had to erase their faces to tell the truth. One became a millionaire, the other lost everything. Today, you are going to discover that the biggest secret in art isn't who Banksy is. The secret is that Banksy already existed 2 centuries ago. And his story is the warning nobody wanted to hear. Think about it for a second. Why would you hide? People say Banksy hides because it's cool, because it's mysterious, because it's good marketing. That's a lie. You hide because you're scared. Imagine you're young. You have something to say, something burning inside you. You hate injustice. You hate how rich people control everything. But if you say it out loud, they throw you in jail. If they catch you painting that wall, you're done. Criminal record. No more traveling. No more normal life. Your future ends right there. So, you pull up a hood. You become invisible. It's not a game. It's survival. Banksy learned to run before he learned to paint. Now, travel with me to the past. We're in 1794. The city is called Edo. Today, you call it Tokyo. It smells like fish, incense, and wet wood. In a small room, barely lit by a single candle, there's a man shaking. This man is not a criminal, or at least, he shouldn't be. For 200 years, nobody knew his name. History called him a ghost. But recent discoveries, including a breakthrough study published in 2024, have finally unmasked him. His name is Saitō Jūrōbei. Remember that name, Saitō Jūrōbei. During the day, he's respectable. He's a no theater actor. No theater is serious, it's sacred. It's entertainment for samurai warriors, for clan lords, for powerful men. Saitō works for an important clan, the Hachisuka clan from Awa province. He has a salary, he has honor, he has a family to feed. But at night, Saitō is drowning. He hates the stiffness. He hates having to stay quiet. He sees the city full of life, full of excess, and he wants to scream. He wants to mock the celebrities. He wants to draw reality, but he can't. If his boss, the clan lord, discovers that his serious actor is drawing vulgar caricatures, Saitō loses his job. Saitō loses his honor. His family starves. In 1794, shame was worse than prison. But shame wasn't the only danger. Right in the middle of the Kansei reforms, the Tokugawa shogunate had just declared war on anything they considered immoral. Vulgar art, luxury, satire, all of it forbidden. This is where the two leaves cross. They have the same problem. They have a talent that the system considers a crime. If Banksy signs his work, he goes to jail. If Saitō signs his work, not just a ronin wandering a dark forest with his family. Under the Kansei reforms, the punishment had a name, kaiki, total destruction. His rank, gone. His land, confiscated. his family name, erased. One drawing. That's all it would take. So Saitō does the only thing he can do. He takes a brush, and instead of writing Saitō Jūrōbei, he invents a name that sounds like a joke, a name that doesn't exist. He writes Tōshūsai Sharaku. Nobody knows who he is, and that gives him the greatest superpower in the world, freedom. You know what Tokyo in 1794 and today's world have in common? Influencers. Yes, you heard that right. In ancient Japan, they didn't have TikTok. They had Kabuki. Kabuki was the show. It was loud, it was sexy, it was popular. Kabuki actors were gods. They were the Justin Biebers, the Kardashians, the Brad Pitts of their time. They had fan clubs. People bought prints of their faces to hang on their walls. But there was a rule, a golden rule, the rule of the lie. If you were an artist in 1794, you had to lie. If the actor was old, you painted him young. If he was ugly, you painted him handsome. The audience didn't pay for truth, they paid for fantasy. They paid to see their idols perfect. It was Photoshop from 200 years ago. And then, in May 1794, Sharaku appears, the man with no face, the ghost. And he drops a nuclear bomb on the city. Sharaku publishes 28 portraits all at once. But they're not pretty. Oh no, they're brutal. Sharaku looks at the idol and says,
I'm not going to paint you as a hero. I'm going to paint you as a human being.
He draws their double chins. He draws their hooked noses. He draws the greed in their eyes. He draws the stupidity. He draws the vanity. He even draws their hands, big and clumsy, something nobody did because it was considered ugly. This wasn't art. This was an insult. This was visual gossip. It was like taking a high-definition photo of a supermodel at 6 a.m. No makeup, hungover, and putting it on a giant billboard. Sound familiar? Look at Banksy. What does Banksy do? He doesn't attack theater actors. He attacks our new gods. He attacks brands. He attacks police. He attacks money. He takes Mickey Mouse and puts him in a war. He takes the Queen of England and turns her into a monkey. He takes $1 million art auction and shreds it live. And notice this. It's a detail almost nobody sees. Look at the background. Sharaku invented something called mica background, a black or dark gray background, shiny, empty, no landscapes, no little trees, no distractions, all black. So you had nowhere to look, you could only look at the actor's ugly face. Banksy does the same thing. He doesn't paint on pretty canvases. He paints on dirty walls, on gray cement, on ruins. The background is empty or destroyed. Both use emptiness to force you to see the truth you don't want to see.
Look how ugly your idol is.
Look how ugly your system is.
For the first time in his life, Saitō, the boring, serious actor, was laughing. He was telling the truth, and nobody knew it was him. Anonymity gave him the freedom to be cruel, but Saitō made a mistake. A mistake that Banksy studied very carefully to never repeat. Imagine you go out on the street, proud of your masterpiece. You expect applause, you expect laughter, but what you find is silence and hate. The people of Edo hated Sharaku. They really hated him. They said his art was too strange, that it was painful to look at. Why would I pay money to see my favorite actor look ugly? Critics said Sharaku had no talent. And here's the human tragedy. Saitō Jūrōbei didn't own his art. In 1794, you needed a publisher, a man with money who printed and sold your drawings. Sharaku's publisher was named Tsutaya Jusaburo. He was the man who discovered him. But Tsutaya was a businessman, and when he saw that nobody was buying Sharaku's ugly drawings, when he saw that fans were furious, Tsutaya made a decision. It's over. That was it. There was no epic fight, there was no chase. The money just stopped flowing. Tsutaya told Sharaku to stop, and Saitō had to stop. He couldn't fight back. He couldn't go out into the street and say, "It's me, defend my art," because if he did, he'd lose his real job. He was trapped in his own mask. 10 months, that's all it lasted. From May 1794 to January 1795, he made 140 works. He worked like crazy as if he knew time was running out. And then he disappeared. Saitō Jūrōbei went back to his job as a no actor. He put his wooden mask back on. He went back to bowing to his lord. He went back to staying quiet. Historical records show he returned to Awa province with the Hachisuka clan. He died years later, without anyone knowing he'd been the greatest genius of his time. The system erased him. But someone was taking notes. 200 years later, a kid in Bristol, England, discovered this story. Or maybe he felt it. Banksy understood why Sharaku failed. Sharaku failed because he depended on someone else. He depended on a publisher who gave him permission. Banksy swore that would never happen to him. Here's the brilliant difference. Banksy doesn't have a publisher. Banksy doesn't have a boss. Banksy created his own company, and he gave it a cynical name, Pest Control. Think about that name. Why Pest Control? Because to the elite, graffiti is a plague. It's a disease on clean walls. Rats are pests. Banksy realized that Sharaku's art was treated like a commercial plague, something ugly that had to be scrubbed away. So his publisher exterminated his career. Banksy saw that trap. So he became the exterminator. He decided,
If I am the plague, I will control how it spreads.
Pest Control is the only office that can say if a Banksy is real or fake. They control the price. They control the narrative. When Sharaku was rejected, he disappeared. When Banksy is accepted, he attacks. Remember when his painting self-destructed at auction? Everyone thought, oh, how rebellious. He destroyed his work. No, he didn't destroy it. He doubled its price. The shredded painting, renamed Love is in the Bin, sold later for even more money. Banksy learned to hack the matrix that killed Sharaku. He understood that if you control the secret, you control the world. And that brings us back to that metal door in Tokyo. Why would Banksy paint a rat there? Think about it. The rat is the perfect avatar for Sharaku's story. Just like the rat, Saitō was a creature of the shadows, working in secret, living in fear of being discovered. Just like the rat, his art was considered dirty by the elite of Edo, something vulgar that belonged in the gutters, not in respectable society. But rats survive, rats adapt, and rats thrive in the darkness. Many say Banksy couldn't have painted a rat, that it's a copy. But the location is too perfect. Hinode, it means sunrise, where old Edo used to be, where Sharaku created his masterpieces, where he was rejected, where he vanished. It's like leaving a flower on a grave, a silent tribute from one ghost to another. Saitō Jūrōbei died believing he had failed. His drawings were used to wrap cheap ceramics. They were thrown in the trash. 100 years passed until a European collector found one and said,
This is a masterpiece.
today, a Sharaku print is worth millions. Just like a Banksy wall, Museums around the world, the British Museum, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, display his work as some of the finest portraiture ever created. The ghost was vindicated. Sometimes I wonder what Saitō would think if he could see the future, if he saw that fake name, Sharaku, is more famous than the emperors of his time. If he saw that, on the other side of the world, 2 centuries later, there's another ghost following his footsteps. Banksy is version 2.0 of Sharaku. He's the Sharaku who won, the one who beat fear, the one who beat the publisher, the one who beat the system. He learned from history's mistake. In the end, what traps us? Is it the drawing or is it the missing piece? We're obsessed with Banksy because we don't know who he is. We're obsessed with Sharaku because he disappeared. The mystery isn't an accident, the mystery is the artwork. Sharaku taught us a lesson in 1794, and Banksy repeats it every day. In a world where everyone wants to be famous, where everyone wants to show their face, their breakfast, their entire life on screens, the real power is being invisible. Saitō Jūrōbei had to hide to survive. Banksy hides to reign. But both tell us the same thing. Don't look at the artist. Don't look at the finger that's pointing. Look at what they're showing you, because the truth is sometimes too ugly to sign with your name. But here's the thing about ghosts and secrets. Not all of them choose to disappear. Sometimes someone makes them disappear. In 1934, a ghost entered a locked cathedral and stole a masterpiece. Months later, the dying thief said his last words. A riddle. For 90 years, no one has solved his mystery. Banksy controls his secret, but this man, his mystery, controls us. If you want to know more about this heist, if you want to crack a riddle that's been unsolved for almost a century, hit that subscribe button right now. Smash the bell so you don't miss it. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what would you do if you could stay anonymous forever? Expose the truth, attack the system, or disappear with the world's greatest secret? Drop your answer below. We read every single one. The ghost code has been passed down. The next mystery is waiting.
History doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes.